I did it.
You did it?
So
you willed this victory?
When I was standing up, Oklahoma City played better than the Mavs. When I was sitting down, the Mavs did better. Mm-hmm. And then I went and stood near the front door the first time that we were shooting free throws in the fourth quarter, and we made them. And so I knew when P.J. Washington got fouled, and if they would have reviewed that and said there was no foul, I was going to lose it. I was literally going to lose it.
Because
they were cheating so much, the refs.
Oh, my gosh. Tony Brothers made some miserable calls.
At one point, I thought Jaden Hardy had lost his heart because Lou Dort lowered his shoulder and rammed him into the ground so hard, and they're like, let's review it. And New York was like, yeah.
Have you seen the play
no
where...
No charge there. And I'm like, literally, he lowered his shoulder into the middle of the dude's chest and pile drived him into the ground. And they're like, no foul. And so I was like, if they would have changed it, I would have lost my mind. But I went after they were like, hey, it stands. I went and stood near the front door.
And
game over.
So you could run outside
I feel like
naked.
It's me. I feel like that was me because I made sure in those moments to be in the right places in my house.
I loved the idea of missing that third free throw on purpose. Like, I know we're going to talk about the broader view because you're only ahead by 1 point. Either way, Oklahoma City is going to shoot a three-pointer. You're going to lose either way if they make it, right? So I would much rather go off the rim with no time to like set up or get a deeper pass, have to rebound. The clock stops running immediately. I thought that was a very smart decision.
100%. Let's go over this. One, you already seen earlier in the game that Williams made a half-court shot. So you're like, okay, we've seen if they have 2 seconds, they can throw up a half-court shot and make it. I feel like the Mavericks also, at the end of a quarter, the Clippers were able to do this to the Mavs. And I can't remember if it was Harden or if it was Paul George. I can't remember, but earlier in the playoffs, you saw where they were able not to win the game, but late in a quarter where there's like 2 seconds to go, that if you give them an inbounds play, there's a higher likelihood they can get it to half court with momentum going towards the basket to make the shot. Third, now here's my big question. I didn't think of it in the moment, but was it a major mistake to challenge the foul? If they don't challenge it, they have a timeout. So now you want to make the shot because you know as soon as they grab the rebound, they're going to call a timeout with 2.2 seconds to go approximately because there's 2.5. So it takes you about 0.3, maybe 0.5. So you're going to have 2 seconds to ball at half court. So missing doesn't help you. You'd rather go up by 2, have them have the ball at 2.5 seconds, side out of bounds. And if they hit a 3, they win. If they hit a 2, you go to overtime. If they miss, you win. So after it was all said and done, and I thought, well, you got to review it because you're shooting 3 and the likelihood he's going to make 2 out of 3. But then after it ended, I was like, oh, crap. That might have been a really bad decision by Oklahoma City because you lost your last timeout to advance the ball to half court.
Man, I didn't even think about that one, honestly, Mike. Like that is I don't think that they'll look back and say we shouldn't have challenged it because somebody on that bench was like, they didn't think it was a foul. Because they touched ball first. That's what we kept hearing from, was that, who was that on the call? Was that
Richard Jefferson?
Yeah, Richard Jefferson. That's what we kept hearing was you got ball first.
I might be wrong. It might have been Grant Hill. I'm sorry if I'm getting the person.
So somebody over there thought it was enough to make that. And like they were kind of in that mindset of if we can keep this from being a foul. But you're right. They would have had that opportunity to at least get a better shot off.
So have you thought about that yet, Kevin?
See, I hadn't, because what I did think about was the other side of what you said. If it would have gotten overturned, it would have really driven me crazy because also I know they blew the whistle, but off the deflection or whatever you want to call it, Kyrie got the ball and laid it in with what have been like 1 second left, and you still would have taken the lead. Now I realize none of that would have played, and that would have just driven me
You would have got
insane.
the ball out of bounds underneath the basket with 2.5 if they would have said the challenge. If they would have won the challenge, which I thank God P.J. Washington held on to the ball long enough, because if that ball is deflected in any way out of his hand, then it's not a foul because he's blocked the shot and then the follow through doesn't matter. But yeah, both things there. Thank God he did that. Thank God he made the free throws. And then in a weird way, thank God they used their challenge because then they couldn't advance it. Because at that point, I felt like Shai Gilgeous was going to make every damn shot he took.
Yeah, I think I still would have challenged, but I understand your logic for not challenging. Absolutely. Because I think on the flip side, they're like, hey, if we can win this challenge, like
we have a better chance.
We can
of winning
just
the game.
about go home. Yeah. I know not quite yet, but
Kevin, Mavs X on Facebook posted a picture of Tony Brothers and said, "Big props to this man. He left it all out on the court. Dallas was just the better team."
He tried. He was hired for a reason. And the NBA has done this for a long time, and they know who to hire. It's not fixed.
You really mean this,
100%.
Right? Okay.
You can see this in the history of basketball. David Stern figured this out. And so it doesn't mean you fix the game. It doesn't, but you know that referees, the way they ref certain teams, certain players, you know it gives you a better chance for a certain team to win. And so I think Tony Brothers 100% was hired to get this to the 7th game. And he did his best. Like he reffed the game the way he always refs the game. He hates Luka. In fact, I forgot this. He hates the Mavericks. Spencer Dinwiddie called him out. Remember the whole Spencer?
I do remember that.
Who was
Brothers get like?
It was Tony Brothers. So he does not like the Mavs, and he hates Luka, and they tried their best to get it to 7.
Let's acknowledge, though, the Mavericks didn't do themselves favors in the first half.
No.
With the turnover parade
100%.
that was happening. Like, I hear you about some of the foul calls, and I realize at least 2 of those went into the turnover count.
Yeah.
But, my goodness, that first half was atrocious.
And they couldn't miss. I was like, Lou Dort, start shooting like Lou Dort. My God. Like, he was lofting the ball up there Michael Cooper style, and if you're too young, Michael Cooper had a lot of arc on his 3-point ball for the Lakers, and Lou Dort shoots it that way too, and they were all going in, and they were making every dang shot. Wasn't it 64-48, I believe, at halftime?
I believe that is correct.
And it was like they can't miss. There's no way the Mavs can't win if they won't miss, because you can't cover all the 3-point shooters with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander out there. You're living and dying by you're saying these role players won't make all of these threes or 50% of them, and they were. And you're just like, we're going to lose. There's nothing we can do. The refs are definitely swaying this towards Oklahoma City. The Mavs aren't playing, to your point, turning over the ball too much, not playing their best basketball, and then Oklahoma City's playing their best basketball.
Significantly better in the second half. This is still not exactly the number you want, but it's not bad at all. You had 11 turnovers in the first half. That's never going to work. You only had 6 in the second half, which is much more in line with what you see for the Mavericks throughout the season. Did
you guys hear after the game on ESPN Kyrie Irving's interview?
Yes.
He told the guys, let's just pack it up and go to Oklahoma City if we're not going to give the effort here. If we're done, if we're not going to give the effort, then let's just pack up and get ready for Game 7.
Yeah. I was just checking to see if we had that cut.
Then I think from what he kind of said, the team kind of responded with F that. Like, we're going to give the effort. So
and Luka said we're not going back to Oklahoma City.
Yes, and so finally it was like Kyrie. I'll give Kyrie a lot of credit for being honest with the guys. Because we can complain about the refs. We can do it as fans. They can do it as players. But if that's all we're going to do is not give the full effort that you need to close out a series, well, then let's quit now. We're wasting our energy if we're just going to go at 80%. Let's just go at 0. Either go to 100% or go to 0%. And I thought Kyrie did a great job of explaining quickly to the guys, we're either going 100% or quit. One or the other. Let's stop living in this 75 to 85% give a crap range.
I do feel like if you're Jason Kidd, and I know we give him a lot of credit for all the things that he's done, and we gave him a lot of hate for not getting them to play up to their potential earlier in the year too. But I don't know how you decide, okay, now's the time for me to go ahead and review a play when every time something doesn't go your guy's way, they're going,
circle motion.
Need to do this right now. And you're just like, I don't know if I really want to use that one right now on this play.
Yeah, we don't even know as a team when we have them left.
Like, even if you win, you get 2.
Yeah, we're like Chris Webber in the Final Four. Like, hey, you only get so many timeouts, Chris. Stop.
But it was like first quarter, Luka's already going, hey, let's do it. And he's like,
I thought about the analogy that Mike made last week when it's like in the first or second quarter and it's 3rd and 8 and you're like, I got to use the timeout. And you're like, we're just going to take the penalty. I thought about that in the first quarter. I'm like, hey, maybe you're right. But let's go ahead and save that challenge to perhaps a more relevant part of the game.
I did think it was a great challenge on the Lou Dort, like Luka totally whiffing and not getting close and Tony Brothers just going, I hate you. Foul. Because you don't want Luka to get in foul trouble early, especially when he's not even really contesting the shot at all. And then I liked when Cason Wallace, and I love that young man, and I'm rooting for him, being from the Metroplex, watching him play at Richardson. He did not have a good game 6. To be honest, Cason Wallace helped out the Mavs because his inexperience, I think, played into the Mavs coming back in the second half, because they had to sit Lou Dort because of foul trouble, and so they had to bring in Cason Wallace, who had a great series. He did not have a good game 6. But I just felt like at one point, Cason Wallace, right in front of Tony Brothers as he's watching, he throws Luka into the screen area.
Right.
And Tony Brothers is sitting there watching it. And he's like, I don't care. You're Luka. I hate you.
Which, to be fair, in this game, Luka didn't help.
No,
Man, he was complaining so much.
The game where we were like, did he really turn a corner and mature?
Again. Yeah.
And I was like, nope, he didn't. He's back to, I don't know. It was just one game in the history of Luka where he's like, I'm not going to let the refs affect my attitude and energy.
Yeah, that wasn't my favorite, mental game, perhaps, from him. From the 817. You know what? I kind of want to do this segment maybe long form tomorrow, Mavericks apologies. But right here's one of them. I got to admit, I owe Kyrie an apology and need to eat crow. I thought getting Kyrie was a bad idea, and I was worried he'd be a cancer with Luka, but I couldn't have been more wrong. Did you hear? The audio's not that great, so I don't think we pulled the audio, but did you hear in the postgame what they said when a reporter goes, hey, what do you think now that they said Kyrie being traded to the Mavs is a D trade? Oh, we do have that?
Yeah, let's get cut.
All right, let's hear it.
Alec, if we can, because that's the one right there. It was a D grade for the trade.
Whoops.
Which was, and I think they gave an A to the Gordon Hayward trade to Oklahoma City. So let's see it.
Kyrie, a couple months ago, you talked about the D grade that ESPN gave y'all. Could y'all talk about just, yeah, they gave him a D rating for the trade from the Nets. So could y'all?
Hey man.
Yeah, I wanted to ask y'all how
into All-Star game to
how did it feel to prove the doubters wrong?
I don't think we care. We enjoy playing with each other. We enjoy playing with this team, so we don't really care what other people have to say.
That's one of my favorite quotes of the postseason. Kyrie going, yeah, I went from being an all-star to an S player. By the way, you mentioned Gordon Hayward along the way. He was complaining once the game was over that he does not think he was used effectively.
I like that topic for tomorrow because it's Derek Jones Jr. for me. So I do like that as a topic. Let's apologize tomorrow.
Apologize.